Mantras of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, a mother to our wants, a friend in our difficulties, a persistent and tranquil counselor and mentor, chasing away with her radiant smile the clouds of gloom and fretfulness and depression, reminding always of the ever present help, pointing to the eternal sunshine. She is firm, quiet, and persevering in the deep and continuous urge that drives us towards the integrality of the higher nature. With always our love and blessings, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, Book 6, The Book of Fate, Canto 2, The Way of Fate and the Problem of Pain, page 440. At every step is laid for us a snare, alien to reason and the Spirit's light. Our fount of action from a darkness wells. In ignorance and nescience are our roots. A growing register of calamities is a past account, the future's book of fate. The centuries pile man's follies and man's crimes upon the countless crowd of nature's ills, as if the world's stone load was not enough. A crop of miseries obstinately is sown by his own hand in the furrows of the gods, the vast increasing tragic harvest reaped from old misdeeds buried by oblivious time. He walks by his own choice into hell's trap. This mortal creature is his own worst foe. His science is an artificer of doom. He ransacks earth for means to harm his kind. He slays his happiness and others' good. Nothing has he learned from time and its history, even as of old in the raw youth of time, when earth ignorant ran on the highways of fate, old forms of evil cling to the world's soul, war making not the sweet smiling calm of life. Battle and rapine, ruin and massacre are still the fierce pastimes of man's warring tribes. An idiot hour destroys what centuries made. His wanton rage of frenzied hate lays low the beauty and greatness by his genius wrought, and the mighty output of a nation's toil. All he has achieved he drags to the precipice. Words of our Divine Mother. taken from the collective works of our Divine Mother, Volume 11, Topic Smile. Rise above into the light where everything can be seen with a calm, eternal smile. There you will be in my constant and tender company. Today's topic, the smile that makes everything so simple, taken from page 64. Our Divine Mother says, yesterday someone wrote to me asking, after all, what is the divine? Our Divine Mother says, the divine is lived but cannot be defined. And then our Divine Mother says, put as you put to me the question, I answer, the divine is the absolute of perfection, eternal source of all that exists, of whom we become conscious progressively, all the while being himself from all eternity. Once someone told me also that it was for him something simply unthinkable. You have to only to think that the divine is all that we want to become in our highest, most luminous aspiration, all that we want to become, that is the divine. He is so happy, and he told me that way it becomes easy. And at the same time, when there was this look towards the something, at the same time, when there was this look of the Divine Mother towards that something that needed definition, there was a great silence everywhere and a great aspiration, a gesture as of a flame rising up, and all the forms which this aspiration took. It was very interesting. The story of the aspiration of earth towards the wonderful unknown which one wants to become. And everyone, whoever was destined to make the joining, in his simplicity, believes that the bridge he has followed is the only one. The result are the religions, philosophies, dogmas, credos, battle. Seen as a whole, it is very interesting, very charming, with a smile that looks out. Oh, the smile that looks out. This smile, says our Divine Mother, as thought it was saying, you make it so complicated, it could be so simple. To express it in a literary way, one must say, such complications for such a simple thing, to be oneself. Psychic perfection means to smile at everything. Our Divine Mother says in volume 6 in page 337, get rid of the sense of self-importance to restore your smile. Our Divine Mother says, if one looks at oneself very sincerely, very straightforwardly, very severely, one very quickly perceives that very few things, very few moments of consciousness are free from being mixed with desires. Even in what you take for a higher moment, there is always, happily, not always, but most often, there is a desire mixed. The desire of the sense of one's importance, if only this, that kind of self-satisfaction, the satisfaction of being someone superior. This is, of course, much better than those who want to become yogis in order to astound their neighbors and exercise authority over others so that others may be full of admiration and respect for them. How many things are totally pure? Pure aspiration? You must have already attained a very high level, that level I spoke of, on which one can look at oneself with a smile, a slightly ironic smile, and have the feeling that one was so small, so petty, so insignificant, so foolish. After that, things go better, but For what a long time, all the moments are always turned back upon themselves. You start off in a sweep as though you were springing forward in the face of this universe, and then you turn back upon yourself, expecting a small result, a small satisfaction, a tiny satisfaction, even if it be just your own self appreciation. What a fine aspiration I had. The Divine Mother says, you don't need to have a strong will. You will have only to use my will to smile, the smile that invites the divine. Our Divine Mother says in volume 16 and page 67, my child, be careful. Do not open the door to depression, discouragement, and revolt. This leads far, far away from consciousness and makes you sink into the depths of obscurity where happiness can no longer enter. Your great strength was your smile. Your great strength was your smile. Because you knew how to smile at life, you also knew how to work with courage and steadiness, and in this you were exceptional. But you have followed the example of other people. You have learned from them to be discontented, rebellious, depressed, and now you have left your smile slip away, and with it your faith and confidence in me. Our Divine Mother says, in this condition, if all the divine forces were to concentrate on you, it would be in vain. You would refuse to receive them. There is only one remedy. You must lose no time in accepting it. Recover your smile, regain your faith, become once more the confident child you were. Do not brood over your faults and difficulties. It is your smile that will chase away them, away from you. In the volume 6 in page 372, our Divine Mother talks about the grace and says about the unshakable calm. And our Divine Mother says, agitation, violence, anger, all these things are always, without exception, signs of weakness. And especially when one gets carried away in one's speech and says things one should not say, this indeed is the sign of a frightful mental weakness, mental and vital. Otherwise, you may hear all the insults in the world. People may tell you all possible stupidities. If you are not weak, you may perhaps not smile outwards, for it is not always good taste to smile, but deep within you, you are smiling. You let it pass, it does not touch you. Simply, if your mind has formed the habit of being quiet as it is recommended here, you have the perception of truth within yourself. You can hear anything at all. It does not produce the semblance of a vibration. Everything remains absolutely immobile and quiet. And then, if the witness we were speaking about a while ago is there, look on at the comedy, he surely smiles. But if you feel the vibrations which come from the other person who throws on you all his violence and anger, if you feel this, at first it does, and then suddenly there is a response. And then, if you yourself begin to get into a temper, you may be sure that you are as weak as he is. Our Divine Mother says, if you want to succeed in having a precise, concrete, clear, definite thought on a certain subject, you must make an effort, gather yourself together, hold yourself firm and concentrate. And the first time you do it, it literally hurts. It is tiring. But if you don't make a habit of it, all your life you will be living in a state of irresolution. And when it comes to practical things, when you're faced with, for in spite of everything, one is always faced with a number of problems to solve of a very practical kind, instead of being able to take up the elements of the problem, to put them all face to face, look at the question from every side, rising above, seeking the solution. Instead of that, you will be tossed into the thrills of something grey and uncertain, and it will be like so many spiders running around in your head, but you won't succeed in catching the thing. Our Divine Mother says, I am speaking of the simplest of the problems. I am not speaking of deciding the fate of the world or the humanity or even of a country, nothing of the kind. I am simply speaking of the problems of your daily life, of every human being. Well, it is to avoid this, you are told, when your brain is in course of being formed, instead of letting it be shaped by such habits and qualities, try to give it a little exactitude, precision, capacity of concentration, of choosing, deciding, putting things in order. Try to use your reason. Of course, it is well understood that reason is not the supreme capacity of man and must be surpassed, but it is quite obvious that if you don't have it, you will live an altogether incoherent life. You won't even know how to behave. The least thing will upset you completely, and you won't even know why, and still how to get a remedy on it. While someone who established himself a state of active, clear reasoning can face attacks of all kinds, emotional or any trials, for life is entirely made up of these things, which are very small but proportionate to the one who feels them so naturally, felt by him as a very big, but they are proportionate to him. Some make a fuss over small things. Our Divine Mother says, some people with no reason feel more dislike for something or another, and they are always unhappy. If one wants to develop spiritually, the first thing to do is to overcome one's likes and dislikes. Look at all that with a smile. The smile behind the ego. Our Divine Mother says these words in volume 9 in page 337 and says, if you want to advance on the path of integral yoga, you must very modestly start on your own way towards the new birth first and realize it before cherishing the illusion that you can have supramental experiences. To console you, I may tell you that by the very fact that you live on earth at this time, whether you are conscious or not, whether you want it or not, you are absorbing with the air you breathe this supramental substance which is now spreading in the earth atmosphere. And it is preparing things in you which will manifest very suddenly as soon as you have taken the decisive step. Our Divine Mother says whether this will help you to take decisive step or not is another question which needs to be studied, for the experiences which will occur more frequently and of a new kind, and you won't know them beforehand what is going to happen. After thorough study, whether the supramental substance makes the work of the new birth or not, or if it is easier or not. But for the moment, it is better to not to rely on simple things, but to start on your way to be born into the spiritual life. Your attitude for that should be different. You will understand that what is meant when one speaks of living spiritually, and that moment you will understand a great thing: how to live without ego. How to live without ego. Until then, you cannot understand. The whole of life is so dependent on this ego, it becomes absolutely impossible to live and act without or with or by the ego, but this new birth. You can look at the ego with a smile and say to the ego, my friend, I don't need you anymore. This is one of the results which will bring you a decisive sense of liberation. Our Divine Mother says only the divine light is true, and those who believe in it will be able to move forward. All suffering is a sign that the surrender is not total. And Divine Mother says to all those who suffer, it is the same thing that has to be said. All suffering is a sign that the surrender is not total. Then you feel in you a bang. Instead of saying, oh, this is bad, the circumstances are difficult, say to yourself, my surrender is not perfect. And then you will feel the grace that helps you, that leads you, and you go on. And one day you emerge into that peace that nothing can trouble. You can answer to all the contrary forces, contrary movements, the attacks, the misunderstanding, the bad will, the same smile that comes from the full confidence in the divine grace, and that is the only way out. This world is full of conflict, suffering, difficulty. It is made up of it. It has not yet changed. It will take some time before changing. And for each one, there is a possibility of getting out of it if you lean back on the presence of the Supreme Gaze. If you lean back on the presence of the Supreme Grace, that is the only way out, says our Divine Mother. Eternal smile, a gift only the Divine can give. Prayers and Meditations, April 23rd, 1914. All rules have vanished. The regularity of the discipline is gone. All effort has ceased, not by my own will, nor, I believe, through negligence, but because circumstances are working together to bring this about. It seems that this inner will, always alert like a steersman holding the rudder, has evaporated or fallen asleep, and my being is only something peacefully surrendered which lets itself be carried along by the stream. Till now, it seems to me, the course has always been in a straight line, and I would keep the hope that it is Thou, O Lord, who guidest the stream. But surely, if I have erred at times through too great rigidity, a lack of suppleness and spontaneity, it could very well be that now I err through the opposite excess. I have to come to accept peacefully the state I am in, and to tell myself that Thou wilt bestow upon me the true consciousness, the absolute consciousness when Thou thinkest it best. I look at this changing world as a game unfolding itself, and I take part in this game with the same energy and conviction with which I would if I believed it real and important. All this is very new, but what is certain is that never before were my mind and heart in so complete a repose. What will come out of that I do not know, but I trust in Thee, O Lord. Thou knowest the best way of using and developing Thy instrument.
The world is preparing for a big change. Will you help?